Last Pint Productions presents the New Way podcast. The New Way contains adult content, and new episodes are released most Wednesdays. So back off, man. We're professionals. Listener discretion is advised.
So you were in Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah?
Were you in the shit?
Yeah, I was in the shit.
Last night, Darth Vader came down from planet Vulcan and told me that if I didn't take Lorraine out, that he'd melt my brain.
Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Everybody wants to be naked and famous. Everybody wants to be just like me, I'm naked.
Will you help teach me about this? What is it? A new way?
Hello and welcome once again to the New Way podcast. We break down pop culture so you do not have to. I'm your host, Matt Schenk, joined by a ever-growing presence in my screen. I'm going to switch the order around by Mr. Nicholas Santa Croce across the United States, these United States.
Do something silly on the Zoom and you get the first shout out.
There you go.
Squeaky wheel, baby.
Oh,
Squeaky
God. Did
wheel.
I just, reinforce antics?
Positive reinforcement.
Oh, shit.
Here comes some new Zoom antics coming at you every week.
And we also have Mr. Benjamin Scott Wilson.
Third place, bronze medal. I've now been overtaken by Mr. Nick Santa Croce.
You just need one more medal.
And all it took was some good-natured disobedience.
Some mood lighting and a slow pan in on your face.
I'm trying to increase my online presence while you guys record the podcast, you know?
For those who can't see it, which is everybody, nobody can see it, but Nick, it looks like you have like up lighting in your room. Like, is it turned into a club after? Is that what a New Way After Dark turns into?
If you must know, I have a smart LED light bulb in my nightstand lamp that I can change any color I want.
Look at
So
you.
yeah,
look at you,
change
fancy
from
pants.
daytime to fuck time.
Now I'm feeling pink today.
Now that now that the podcast is raking in the big bucks, Nick is just out there buying smart bulbs. The rest of us still got dumb bulbs over here. We got nothing.
Control it by an app, and it doesn't tell me to go
God.
fuck myself like your Google machine. It's
Wow.
great.
Speaking of which, our last episode did get quite a lot of rave reviews for the soundtrack discussion. People quite enjoyed it, and people also.
I realized. I mean, we probably would have gotten flagged at some point with it, but we probably should have had more sound bites. That I blame myself.
I struggle with that. I mean, our podcast is essentially not monetizable due to our theme music in general.
Right. But I thought about it.
But they don't usually flag us for that. They do flag us for any of our score episodes. If I got some Star Wars music in there, they are on that and telling me there's but they don't really care about the presidents of the USA. But yeah, there is a whole world of if this podcast were ever to make it to the next level, we would have some like Joe Rogan-esque scrubbing of episodes due to music rights and a lot of other things going on. So it would be a great problem to have at some point. But in speaking of bigger podcasts than ours, I did get in touch with Mr. Rob Harvilla, who is the host of the podcast we've mentioned several times on this podcast, 60 Songs That Explain the 90s. And after he is going on a bit of a hiatus from his own show for a couple of months before he comes back and releases 30 more songs, he has upped it now to 90 songs. He has agreed to do something on our podcast. So we are in communication, and there's a good chance that he will join us for our little tiny podcast and talk movies and music with us at some point in
That's great.
the next
Well,
few
now
months.
now that it's official, he's going to feel like a real asshole if he backs out at the last minute.
Part of my genius is promoting this 2 months ahead of time so that if this doesn't happen in 2 months, no one's going to remember.
So no one's going to remember. No one's going to know.
Totally okay.
But I will. I will, Matt. I'm
going to play the tape. I'm going to play the tape over. I'm going to send a nasty letter.
You're sending us letters through the podcast you're on. That is some deep shit.
Dear sir or madam.
We do.
Yeah, it comes into our inboxes right next to the complaint from the presidents of the United States. Like, hey, stop using our fucking song.
So
Nick, you could just text me what you had a problem with last week. We all host the show together.
Yeah, I don't know if we have discussed this or not, but did I tell you I did reach out to the presidents of the USA about our theme music?
No.
I don't think so.
It didn't go anywhere, but I found their Facebook group that they are like their official Facebook group. This is probably 2 or 3 years ago. And I just wrote this like, hey, we're huge fans of your band. We incorporate your song into our like non-existent audience podcast,
but we want to monetize it.
And no, it wasn't even I was just like, hey, we're just I was gonna eventually get into the money please portion of it, but I was more just like, hey, we're just big fans, and maybe they would get a kick out of it and not try to like shut us down or sue us. I mean, listen,
it was a big risk.
I mean, I think, being sued by presidents of the United States of America might be the best thing that could happen to this podcast from a visibility standpoint. So,
well, I can't even get their album on vinyl. So I'm not surprised you weren't able to get their express written.
Well, they've gone like the Matt Mahaffey route. They do all kinds of kids stuff.
Yeah, they do kid stuff. But they were doing that when they were still like an active band too. I mean, they were writing stuff for like Yo Gabba Gabba or whatever. They had a ton of stuff that was out there for kids.
Were they really working on Yo Gabba Gabba?
Yeah.
It's really surreal to think that MC Bat Commander, the creator of that show and the frontman of the Aquabats, was working hand in hand with the presidents of the United States of America for kids programming.
Yeah. When you
take a step back, that show is insane for many reasons. That being one niche reason. Dang,
absolutely. Yeah. Well, speaking of quality music, we're gonna do something we don't do very often. In fact, we've only done it twice before. We are gonna dive right into our topic because our topic isn't really a topic; it's a lack of topics, and as such, it has earned, because it is the third version of this we've done, it has earned an original Nick Santa Croce theme song. So this is that Ben's going to be hearing for the first time. So hold on to your butts.
No topic this week. Matt works real hard on the content, so just save your critique. No topic this week. Hodgepodging all the stuff we missed and call it Geek Speak.
That's
Geek
right,
Speak.
Kids. Geek Speak.
Wasn't that rousing?
I liked the Geek Speak.
It was arousing.
What do you think?
I think Geek Speak at the end is my favorite part.
Well, no, that's the one thing that you wrote, the name of the segment. So you narcissist. I don't think
I came up with that.
The Geek Speak. You texted us today. It's the Geek Speak episode.
No, but I mean, we did this twice before. In fact,
it deserved a theme song.
Exactly. I was looking up. So you're right. Once you get to 3 of them, I think we get to theme song territory. Geek Speak number 2, for those of you that might not remember. In fact, we don't necessarily remember. Geek Speak number 2 was episode 153, which featured the first time Mr. Patrick Barrett joined our podcast and introduced us to the one and only thing that almost killed me, the New Way drinking game, which is still one of the drunkest I think I have ever been on air for anything. And the aftermath of that episode involved Nick and Patrick singing Rainbow Connection, I believe, very drunkenly over Zoom.
The irony is that episode I was not at Matt's. So I was at your place for the Geek Speak episode, but for the actual New Way podcast drinking game episode, I was actually at home.
Yeah, so that was Geek Speak number 2. Geek Speak number 1 we did here, like
right, exactly,
yeah,
or whatever. But yeah, the New Way podcast drinking game where I was sitting at my at my dining room table, and I don't know how many drinks I went through at that point, but I just remember seeing Beth like across the room and just the wide-eyed panic in her eyes of just being like, oh fuck, what did he do?
I thought I was doing those triple.
Did
those
Georgia play a game and lose? What happened?
It was bad. But so speaking of Patrick, since we teased this at the end of the last episode, Patrick sent one of the funniest text messages that spawned a bit of a thread, and I thought, how to get this for our podcast audience since they can't see it, and reading it by me just wouldn't be great. So I turned to the wonderful world of text-to-speech, and I've had text-to-speech. They're going to recount a little bit of a text thread that happened between us a few weeks ago regarding a film that Patrick watched that he was a little bit confused about what the tone of that movie was supposed to be. So have a listen.
Patrick Barrett sent the following text message.
The woman in the house across the street from the girl in the window is Batsit. I can't tell if it's a parody or bad. Is Kristen Bell in on the joke? How is she doing this? Is she poorly directed? Is SHE bad? It's almost like watching Starship Troopers for the first time not being in on the joke.
Ryan Alexander snarkily replied with,
You can't tell if it's parody? I can't tell if your text is parody.
Patrick Barrett began to backpedal with the following.
My girlfriend was watching it and falling asleep, so I sat in on a few episodes. Without her telling me anything, I was like, WTF is this? I made fun of the monologues in Midnight Mass, and this seems to have taken that and just said, to the moon.
Nicholas Anticros, the first of his name, chimed in with,
Patrick, criticism of Midnight Mass is not allowed on this thread. Please create a new one and leave me off of IT.
Ryan Alexander put the nail in the coffin by saying,
Patrick, you are the dumbest smart kid I know.
That was where I lost it in the thread.
The voice. I think we've already gone over our allotment of production value for one episode.
Yeah,
I hope
no
you don't
kidding.
have any other pre-recorded materials because I can't handle it.
That also took me a stupid amount of time.
Matt, I'm sorry it took you that much time, but I am begging for that to be the new slurred sophisticate. Hearing the voices that you assign for people, and then that is that killed
what was
me.
funny was the reason why it sounds like when it's announcing the name, it sounds like she's having a stroke is because all the clips had to be a minimum of 5 seconds. So it either had this terrible pause where it'd be like, Patrick.
Right. Well,
and then it would go into the thing.
And it was basically just a recreation of all of the voice acting from the original Resident Evil.
Yeah, it was
Don't open that door.
I started adding
Jason.
So then I added the color to it, and then I had to slow it down. So she's just like,
What is it? It's blood. Chris's blood.
Because it always has to go back to, I think you should leave. I'm waiting for the part where it goes, dude, he looked so fucking stupid. It was a hat with safari flaps. It sounded like that sketch. That's great. I gotta have more of that.
I mean, I think that was one of the first threads that was easily worth doing that too. I will look for if you ever see a thread that we've got that you think would make a good one, go ahead and flag it for me, and I will make an attempt.
Just print off everything we've ever said in the past year and throw a dart at it. All gold.
Well, we'll see if everyone else finds that as amusing. Just the fact that the show is like the girl across the street, like it's got this ridiculous title, and he typed not only texted us that,
the whole thing.
He typed the whole title out in sentence case, proper sentence case, with the like small words lower. Like he had to acknowledge the title like head on and then go, is this a parody?
To be fair, I didn't even know what they were talking about.
I didn't want to respond because I didn't want Patrick to feel a little self-conscious about it.
And then Ryan's like, fuck that.
Yeah, and then Ryan's like, yeah. And then later Patrick is like, yes, this is definitely a parody. As if to confirm what Ryan had already told him.
Well, and the only thing that the what's it called couldn't it couldn't do the stresses like Nick getting angry, and also just Patrick's like Kristen Bell can't be bad. Is she in on it? Which, like, that cracked me up.
Sometimes you just want to say, leave me out of it. So emphasis on an all caps
IT. Yeah, so we'll do some more of those. But yeah, so this is an episode basically where we kind of...
Matt,
yes?
don't use the last text exchange we had, though, okay? Just...
that would be steamy. Super steamy.
One.
Well, we'll be like, so I've also been trying to because people do like the soundboard and I do forget to use it. Plus we've used a lot of our stuff all the time. I'm going to be trying to work in some new soundboard cues over the next couple of months that some of them I found on the TikTok. I was very partial to this, which is similar to a conversation that Nick Santacroce and I had earlier today, which is this.
I'm going to get off by cranking your knob just a little beyond the breaking point.
That is an actual clip of Hulk Hogan actually on TV wrestling, and that is what he is using as his one of his interstitials where they're interviewing them about what he's going to do to like the Ultimate Warrior.
Well, it's a hilarious soundbite, but in practice, I don't know where you use it.
I'm going to get off by cranking your knob just a little beyond the breaking point.
Where do you use it? Everywhere.
It's a bit too long. What else you got?
I know that's the only one I've got for right now.
Okay. It's literally the only soundbite he loaded for the entire episode.
It is. I mean, I have got
designed to penetrate gently but deeply into a horse's body, working places not easily reached with massage, lasers, or other methods.
Too long.
And I have Nick's.
You ought to ask magical Mr. Mistopheles, the original conjuring cat.
I did go long enough.
No doubt about
that. Keep it going.
Please. Listen to me, and don't scoff.
Nope, not over yet.
All his inventions are off his own bat.
Yeah, so I did dig up some other ones.
Listen, that Rum Tum Tugger did not have to say that so sexy. That's a choice. That's an actor choice.
What is funny is that clip is literally, I labeled it "sexy Mistopheles," and I didn't know so I literally went to I did a search for all old soundboard things, and I didn't know what they were. I didn't listen to them, but I'm like, "Sexy Mistopheles got to be good." I don't even know what it is.
Technically, that's not Mr. Mistopheles. That's Rum Tum Tugger, his hype man.
But he's talking about sexy Mistopheles.
But it's sexy Rum Tum Tugger though.
I'm disappointed though because I thought it was canon that on this podcast it was Benjamin's old ass film expertise.
It is in our hearts.
And Mark does not like it when we talk about cats. So yeah.
Well, too bad, Mark. That might be my single highest achievement in life was writing that spoof.
Well, so my first topic to ask you guys about involves another strange
cats.
No. But close.
Cats?
No, it is about a mouse, though. So we have another strange
American Tail?
Close, getting close. We have another strange voice casting for an upcoming live action animated feature. It's Stuart Little. And did you guys read who is voicing Stuart Little?
No, I didn't. I missed this.
Jeremy Strong from Succession. And lest you want to, if you don't have the imagination for it, someone on TikTok has already done it for you. Here you go.
Where's the fucking cheese, guys? Come on. Don't make me fucking go into the kitchen myself like I'm Ratatouille, because I'm not. I'm a fucking boss. I'm Stuart Little. I'm the fucking man. Okay?
So good.
I just can't wait until he's doing the press junkets for that. He'd be like, no, I think that Stuart Little is an analogy for the American experience.
He's not going to what do you think about doing this lighthearted kids comedy? Oh, this is not, this is a dissertation on communism. So what is happening?
Was he truly little? Was he little?
What is happening with voice casting right now? What is going on?
Chris Pratt was busy. Chris Pratt had other obligations.
It's just like they have a rotating spinning board with all of these actors are super hot right now. Okay, let's just throw a dart and then it's random.
It's probably not the biggest stretch because I remember when I'd be working for producers and they would be trying to actively sell something. A lot of times you got to attach somebody to it, whether it be a director or an actor, right? And there were these lists of just literally just the top 10, what's going to bring in the most money, and you try to shoehorn one of them in. And if one of them even slightly fits in that square peg, you make an offer and cross your fingers.
Like, if I'm going to take some Succession heat.
Is that guy that hot, though?
No, that's what. And he's not even like the hottest one out of Succession. Like, Kieran Culkin as Stuart Little makes perfect sense.
It does.
Or Cousin Greg as Stuart Little makes perfect sense. Jeremy Strong?
It's just like casting John Mulaney as Chip and not Dale.
Well, I was going to get to the Rescue Ranger.
I know. So I'm getting ahead of myself.
Well, because that's where I was kind of going. That there is this now, but see, Rescue Rangers makes sense to me in that they're making an entire film based in that type of comedy with the Lonely Island guys, with their group, and it is very much. Whoever said it was Patrick or Ryan said it's essentially my Roger Rabbit sequel pitch.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't find that casting nearly as appalling as you did, Nick. But you are right. I mean, if you're going to have
appalling, not appalling, no.
Right. But if you're going to have Andy Samberg and Mulaney,
he's the Chip.
You would reverse their roles just naturally.
Yeah, like if they were playing the Odd Couple. Yeah.
Well, if a character has buck teeth, Mulaney gets the buck tooth character. It's not rocket science. It's just.
So like if they were doing Alvin and the Chipmunks, you would have Andy Samberg as Alvin and Mulaney as Simon. Yes, right?
Sure.
Yes.
Well, that depends. Did Simon promise his wife a family, leave her, and then dump her for Olivia Munn?
You were going to go there.
Oh, sorry. Well, in that case, yes, maybe Simon. I don't know. What? I'm not a producer. I don't know, Matt. I don't know what goes into that decision. Okay.
Yeah,
people are pressed up against the wall.
Like the Chris Pratt casting made sense for me because Chris Pratt can open a movie internationally because he's known, but Jeremy Strong is not getting kids or foreigners into seats for a voice acting role. Like, I just don't understand.
But I mean, it will be very funny though when we can take scenes from the movie and then shoehorn in quotes of Jeremy Strong from like The Big Short and from Succession, and just imagine that how are you fucking us?
Is that your quant?
Was he Moriarty or was that somebody else?
No, he was not Moriarty. That was Adam's not Adam Scott, but he's a very similar name to Adam Scott. But he's
not Adam Scott, but
Adam Scott would make a great Stuart.
I would hear you out.
I could with that dartboard pick 50 people I would cast as Stuart Little before I even like tripped over and fell on Jeremy Strong. Like, I'm just flabbergasted.
Maybe Jeremy Strong, it's like his passion project. He's like, I grew up. It's all I ever wanted to play was Stuart Little.
I only signed on to Succession for the 6 seasons and then the Stuart Little movie deal. I mean, like every actor.
Brian Cox turned it down. He goes, but listen, my co-star Jeremy, he's got nothing to do. You know, throw him a bone.
You know what? I think you were closer to the truth on that. I think they went for several other people in succession, and those people passed. And they were like, I mean, what about the other brother? And they're like, I guess.
Who's next in line in our succession list?
Succession.
That was after Sarah. That was after Sarah Snook had passed on it too. They were like, no, we're willing to switch the sex roles here. So.
They tried everyone.
Did you hear that they haven't even made the movie yet, and they've already signed on to do some Netflix shorts?
Don't you dare.
You know who's attached to direct?
Don't you fucking dare do it. Dude, I don't know if you guys have ever listened to the Smartless podcast. I urge you at some point just put on a couple of episodes because I say this in reverence to them because they are very good at what they do. It is the exact same dynamic of this show at times, so eerily.
So who's who?
You are the Will Arnett. Arnett can't hold back certain jokes at times.
I can. I do.
No, well, and even better, he does exactly that. The last episode I listened to, he's like, I had a joke, and it was I stopped myself from doing it, Bateman. I stopped myself from doing. It was so bad I wouldn't even do it.
And he wants a little credit for it. Is that so wrong?
Exactly.
Is that so wrong?
Yeah, I am probably the Sean Hayes of the being picked on, and Ben is the Bateman. Like, I don't give a shit. You all do your own thing. It's fucking whatever.
That is pretty good. That is pretty good.
It is they.
But what if we were Ninja Turtles?
Oh God.
Okay.
We're all fucking Donatello, but not smart. We're dumb Donatello.
We're all fucking Donatello.
We're Michael Donatello Angelo. That's all we are. Is we're like dumb and nerdy.
Well,
I never said I was your fearless leader.
They were matched up though. You know, like Raph and Leo were together, and then Donnie and Mikey were together, and you can fuse them.
Yeah, we got to. Yeah, there's no, just like the Hogwarts houses. You're not just one Ninja Turtle. You are multiple Ninja Turtles at once. So, Benny, what do you have that you want to discuss on this episode of Geek Speak?
Well, so I am one episode away from finishing Yellow Jackets, which is so funny because I saw the first 2 episodes and then you kept on discussing it like it was Lost. And I was just like, this show isn't fucking Lost. Now 7 episodes down, I'm like, oh, it's fucking Lost.
It's fucking Lost.
It's Lost. It's all happening.
It's so Lost-ish.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten a lot more of those vibes. And I don't love that it's leaning more into that direction necessarily, but I will not pass judgment until I see more of it. Like, that's obviously,
it's the same thing. I agree. It as it becomes more and
that
more
was even
Lost.
The turn you were referencing in one of our podcasts too, right?
Okay. Well, it's that. It's also just the fact that it is so Lost that it is going to be 100% polarizing, like Lost. Like it's Lord of the Flies with 90s nostalgia and a much better female dynamics, actually, which is the best thing it has going for it, is doing this female Lord of the Flies and watching how that is different than most of the things that we're getting that are in that genre. I think that's the most unique part of it, but it is very heavily Lost, but it does Lost really fucking good.
Yeah, sure. No, it's definitely is the closest puzzle box thing I've seen that captures the spirit of, let's say, the first couple seasons, few seasons of Lost. And so I am enjoying it. And I like all the actors, and I actually made a huge turn on Juliette Lewis in it because Juliette Lewis was annoying the fuck out of me.
Same.
Watching that show, the first 3 episodes, and then I realized as it got further and further along that, because I was just like, oh yeah, it's just Juliette Lewis playing crazy. She has a lot more subtlety in the performance than I think I was giving her credit for. And also watching the younger version of that character try to play to Juliette Lewis was really actually pretty impressive too. Because they started, it was like both characters, they were playing the same characters. They felt miles apart, but as it kind of kept going, it feels like they both kind of found a lane where now it's believable that they're actually the same charger.
Is it believable? Is it believable that she's also a space biker punk that helps Boba Fett?
I was gonna almost use that same transition.
You were? Yeah, you were.
I was thinking about it.
I still haven't gotten into Boba Fett.
Yeah, I know. So I
you haven't cracked open the book of Boba Fett?
I kind of. So I was gonna hold off on the full Boba Fett discussion until Ben, out of reverence for Ben, to catch up on that and not spoil it.
Well, but anyways, I do want to watch that, and I may even watch the last episode tonight if I'm not too tired. But I am enjoying it quite a bit. But the thing I watched over the weekend, which I've been really looking forward to watching, just because I had heard a couple of interviews with the director, is I finally got around to watching Nightmare Alley, Guillermo del Toro's film. Nightmare Alley, with Bradley Cooper. You watched it too?
I sure did.
So I liked it. Everybody kept telling me the same thing, was that it's a good movie until you get to the very end, which is just incredible. And I was like, I loved the whole movie.
Yeah.
But I am not ashamed to say I think it's the hardest I've cried in a movie since Pan's Labyrinth.
Damn, really? Yeah. Wow. We're at the very end?
The end, yeah. It just
I've
really
not seen
destroyed me.
But yeah, you piqued my interest with that, yeah.
Without giving too much away, I think that, like, I saw some things coming, but it's all about setup and execution, and it's just delivers on that front.
It's
every turn.
Well, it's a really beautiful. I mean, obviously, it's a Guillermo del Toro movie, so it's going to look very nice. It's a very, very lush, very pretty looking movie. But it's just there's some character work, and it's some of the best acting in any of his films, where you essentially have a protagonist that you're following through this entire story, and only like kind of at the end of the movie is that protagonist really confronted with what he really is and what type of person he really is.
Also, how fun was it? How fun was it to see a pretty classic noir under the literal lens of Guillermo del Toro? That to me was really fun too, because you got a hardcore genre film, actually probably a couple genres in this that were melded. You got the freak show, but it's classic noir set up and pay off, and they never strayed too far with that formula without really making you immersed.
So I haven't read the book because it's the third time that Nightmare Alley has been adapted. I've seen I think it was 49. I saw the original Nightmare Alley when I was going, running through all those film noirs back in the day. I was renting everything.
That was also called Geek Speak.
That was right. on Ben's fifth birthday. He got put on the old 1949 Nightmare Alley for a little fun.
But it is fun. It is funny that we're titling this Geek Speak because that plays pretty prominently into Nightmare Alley. But
thank you, Ben, for not letting another brilliant joke. Now, see, what if I had held back on that? What if I had not?
I'll be honest. I tuned your joke out entirely and didn't even know there was a joke until Ben brought attention to it. So he promoted your joke to.
There you go.
That's what the Jason Bateman character would have done.
Well, anyways, I was just it's one of those things that happens a lot. I feel like when I get super busy or when we just have a whole lot of stuff going on. Because that's absolutely a movie I should have seen in the theater. Like it's a Guillermo del Toro theatrical movie, and I would have eaten it up in the theater. And I'm mad that I didn't see it in the theater, and I'm mad that I just watched it on HBO Max.
Everyone else is glad you stayed and cried at home, though. Probably, right?
I probably wouldn't have cried if I had been in the theater, or not in the the way.
I'm
curious. It's okay, buddy.
I'm
you
curious.
Get the fuck what everyone else says.
I'm curious for you guys because I've like the movie's been on my radar. But at least in my limited circles of influence, I have not heard anybody really like going nuts about this movie. So I'm super excited based on kind of hearing very positive reviews from you guys.
Yeah, I got nominated for some stuff.
Yeah, not like a ton, but it's not like it doesn't sound. I think it's up for picture. I think it's up for.
I think it is up for picture.
Yeah,
I think it should be. Yeah.
Totally, but I guess it seems like people are sleeping on it a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, here I will say if there is a flaw with the movie, its structure is a little strange, almost by necessity. And the second half of the movie is real uneven when like Cate Blanchett's character is kind of, and it's weird when it's like the one thing I was like, you could almost have just excised some of the stuff with Cate Blanchett, which is you never say because she's such a phenomenal actress. But no, I would just say ultimately as a whole, I thought that it was pretty exceptional. It was really well done, but it was also, I did have a couple of friends who saw it and they were like, you're really going to like it. So,
okay. Yeah. I'm super, you had mentioned that you were watching it and you were really into it. So I was that got me excited I was going to watch it, but I wasn't like, it had fallen off of kind of my like must see list.
That's funny because I really would have thought it would have been right up your Nightmare Alley. But really, that's the truth, though. It's one of those types of movies where all three of us probably got approached by friends saying, "You're gonna like this one." It probably didn't take much for us to like that movie. But they did it well.
I'm curious because I certainly don't dislike Shape of Water, but it is not my favorite Del Toro by a long shot. So I was feeling that vibe from this of like, I'll watch it, but I'm not racing to watch it.
I liked it much better than Shape of Water.
I like Shape of Water, and I think this is a better movie.
Okay. And I do, and I guess I'm not
in Baltimore.
I'm not trying to disparage Shape of Water. I love a fish man romance. We know how I feel about Splash. So obviously Shape of Water was up my other alley. But
don't worry, there's still fish people sex in this. It just it's a different part of the freak show. Don't worry.
Thank God.
Don't worry. You should watch. So watch it.
Don't worry. There's still fish people sex. All right, Nikki, what do you got for? Oh, I'm sorry, Ben. You got something?
No. We'll come back around.
Okay, Nikki.
Well, I've been watching Euphoria, and I just caught up.
Did you watch last night's episode?
I sure did.
The musical number at the end is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, that was like,
to set the scene, Matt, there is a in the context of this being a stage play, there is a weightlifting scene that turns into an entire homoerotic, like everybody humping each other to the tune of "I Need a Hero."
Yeah,
I need a hero.
So it's every gym experience ever.
Yes. It is.
What I
fabulous.
do love, I was fairly positive either or both of you are going to bring up Euphoria. That is on my list of things to make sure we address.
Wow.
I have not seen an episode yet of Euphoria. I hear nothing but interesting things about it. Whether it is people love it or hate it or whatever.
I can't really watch
it's
the
a
show.
lot.
I can't really watch the show as a procedural. But I have enjoyed what I've watched of it with Beth. But Beth had to show me that scene, and I was just like, "Oh, I see why." Yeah, I can just imagine the choreography that went into actually filming that had to be so much fun.
And like Kanye West, I am afraid that Cassie is going to hurt somebody. No spoilers. But the one thing about Euphoria is, like, it charted a very unique path, and then this is just kind of a out of left field episode. It's sort of like when the Whitest Kids did a sketch about John Williams, and it was 8 minutes long. It was sort of like they all cracked open a beer at their writing session and were like, casting a wide net is great and all, but why don't we just write a sketch just for Nick Saban? Like, that's what the last Euphoria felt like a little bit. But I've been enjoying that for sure. But I got a bone to pick with Mr. James Gunn.
Oh no!
And the Peacemaker. Have you guys watched all the?
I have not watched any Peacemaker.
I did get to the end. I was curious about your opinion.
Then maybe
we'll the message
back
at the end of Peacemaker is muddled, quite muddled. But is that what you were concerned about? I assume, but I could be wrong.
No. That's not even the big thing for me. It probably one of the weirdest journeys for me watching a series. Right. I didn't love Gunn's Suicide Squad, but I was intrigued for the show. And then I saw the intro and the theme song. I'm like, okay, this is going to be great. Went into it with high expectations. First 3 episodes, actively did not like it.
Yeah, you were not a fan.
Really struggled with the character, and I resented the whole thing is going to be, I'm James Gunn, the most talented filmmaker on the planet, and I'm going to win you over, and I'm going to make an irredeemable character lovable because that's what I do, And I was like, okay, James, I get it. You're good. I get it. I don't need it beat over my head. That's not all that I need in a show. I need more. And Peacemaker, just the character, well, I could recognize that John Cena was killing it. It just wasn't connecting for me, right? Then the 4th episode hits. Completely wins me over for the next couple episodes, sort of like Mandalorian. That was an honest Freudian slip.
Yeah.
Boba Fett. I wasn't into it, and then they won me over against all odds when I was had made my decision and was firmly planted on one side of the fence, and won me over. Was loving Peacemaker, and then the finale completely missed the landing. And I think overall I liked it. Certainly more than I did when I first started watching it. But if Ben hasn't seen it, maybe we'll circle back. I was surprised, and in a nutshell, every time something was working for me, they would immediately throw the brakes on and do a 180. And it happened several times during this finale, and it killed me.
Yeah, I think it is. To me, it's a very interesting series because you are correct in one part of it is that it is riding on John Cena's formidable shoulders through the entire
riding on his pecs.
He is so good, and he is doing a really hard role. Like, it is a deceptively easy looking role that is not as easy as he's making it look. Like, I don't think The Rock could pull off Peacemaker. I don't think he has the nuance that Cena winds up having in that role, which surprises me. Go ahead.
I've actually heard a lot that because Cena, some people would say he's just kind of, because he's got good humor, like he's a naturally a nice guy and has a really good sense of humor, that you could just stick him in stuff like Trainwreck or whatever, and that him being John Cena in those roles is just enough for it to be funny. But as I did read that Peacemaker was his first, like, where he's showing off chops. Like, he's basically like, oh no, I'm acting. Like, this is acting.
There are a couple of moments that genuinely move me, but so I think, Nick, very similar to your feeling with Suicide Squad, I think that it's a bit of a disconnect with Gunn, and it is very interesting to watch Gunn when he is outside of interference, right? So DC has given Gunn carte blanche to do whatever he wants, including he does I will not spoil it, but he does cameos at the end of Peacemaker that I don't think anyone else would get away with, but that's not saying anything. I'm not saying the cameos, but he gets away with some shit that I don't think that most other people could. And I think he is.
I want to expand on that so much, Matt.
I
heard a story.
He is doing though, but I get the feeling that he is doing exactly what he set out to do. And one of the things I was watching.
Does he see like Michael Jackson, Bill Cosby in hell or something?
That is entirely correct. It's exactly what everyone was assuming, and you were right. It's 100%. They're there. It's a bad scene. Dahmer is there. It's a whole lot. But so what's interesting?
Are you guys watching that Bill Cosby documentary?
I have not. I'm very nervous and excited to watch it.
I watched there are only 4 episodes, and I watched the first one.
Was it good?
It was good. It was good. I listened to it because I listened to the interview with the director on Fresh Air.
Yeah, I heard that too, and it was a very good interview. It was very compelling, and I want to see it. And I was raised in a Cosby family, but
who wasn't?
Oh man, what a scumbag! God damn it!
Just so to
anyway,
just
sorry.
Just a little bit of the cap in Peacemaker. There is a character,
James Gunn goes to hell.
Yeah, there's a character moment for the Peacemaker in the finale that is essentially, you think it's building to one thing, and you think because Gunn is kind of a liberal and progressive guy that it's going to go a certain direction, and I feel that it doesn't, and it almost celebrates that decision, and that is what it was not satisfying to me from what my heart wanted. But the more I was thinking about the finale, the more I was like, it's a really interesting, almost realistic look at this thing that it's not a redeeming.
And maybe if we aren't ever going to talk about what you're actually referencing, we shelve this and come back to it.
Yeah,
because there's a big conversation about that last episode on many layers. I think that's a whole episode easy.
Yeah, I'm curious. Maybe we will the same with that, and same with Boba Fett.
Rather than
yeah, I know.
There was a thing that almost said the thing you're thinking about, but not really.
Well, and I think one of the things I did want to kind of discuss in this, and it is hard without going into too many specifics, but similarly to the Boba Fett series, and maybe this is a whole other episode, but I'm very fascinated with both of these properties for similar but different reasons, and that I want to really get into the brains of the people behind them, because there are moments where you're like, oh, these guys get it. You know, they have a handle on this. And then there are other moments where you're going, what? Something weird. It's like having a gourmet meal in a dish, and there's like this one ingredient, and you're like, what the this was a perfect steak, and then there was this like hint of
nutmeg
there's this hint of something weird, and you're like, it was purposeful that they did that, and I don't know why they did that, and I'm very fascinated.
Mommy Matt, it's beyond your pay grade.
You're driving a Tesla, and then you put it on auto for like 10 minutes, and it gets the job done, but it's not that good.
There are, and I do not at all claim to be an expert in how TV shows should be made, and we are also living in a very weird paradigm of COVID production and TV shows and writing and how this all gets put together. But there's a really interesting
and fans
discussion.
thinking they can do it better.
Yeah, and that's where I do want to steer a little clear of is I don't think I can do these things better. I think it's easy to look at them
put your
after
name in
the
hat.
fact.
Listen.
I wanted those.
Favreau,
I want those Marshmallow Men. I want that Marshmallow Man spinoff. I want mini Marshmallow Men.
I take it back.
It'll be like the Gargoyles series, but it'll be mini Marshmallow Men.
How dare you?
It'll be the Stay Puft Gargoyles. I'm gonna cross over the universes and make Ben and you angry at the same time.
It would be the Stay Puft Minis.
I'm watching both of your faces just like, fuck you for how dare you. Ben was like, I'm with you in the nope, not at all.
I started off wanting to give you credit, Maddie. I wanted to say I do trust you. Listen. I feel that this man to do second season of the Book of Boba Fett, and everyone would love it.
No, I don't.
Not a single
I don't
Star
want
Wars
a Book of Boba Fett. That's
me.
the point. It doesn't need to exist.
But you could make it work, and not a single Star Wars fan would rise up in revolt. Not even nary a word of criticism.
Yeah, I would be. We get back to both Boba Fett and Peacemaker. Ben, go on to something else here.
Let's.
What have you seen, Ben?
And now for something completely different.
Exactly.
So I am about to start sort of the maelstrom of going through all of the Oscar movies I haven't seen.
The maelstrom?
Yeah, I'm about to
Maelstrom. I thought you said Maelstrom. I thought you said Mouse-drum, and I was like, "Are we going back to Stuart Little?"
Yes, Stuart Little. Yeah, exactly.
Where's the fucking cheese?
That's how Jeremy Strong gets into character. He beats his mouse drum.
Now, where's the fucking cheese? Now that's a drop.
I think that's the drop. I think that's the drop.
Where's the fucking cheese?
I could use that in every joke.
Whoever did that, it did a really good job because it sounds just like Jeremy Strong.
Dead on. I wonder if it is Jeremy Strong playing a YouTuber playing Jeremy Strong, his greatest role ever.
Oh my god! I could already see like someone struggling to come up with a point, and you beat them to it on the soundboard. Where's the fucking cheese? I can think of the use cases are going to be out the window.
It's a pretty good
one.
This whole thing, the whole Jeremy Strong thing, actually reminds me of this. I think Matt, I think you and I talked about this, but when Ryan Johnson was making Knives Out. So apparently they actually filmed that whole thing in an actual house. Like that house exists, and there were set decorations or anything. They actually literally just took over this house and shot it inside. So they said that the only kind of green area was the basement. And so when people were in between scenes or they were getting
all solar powered.
It was all, they would go down to the basement and that's where they would hang out. And so what's the name of the actor? Oh shit. He was in
Daniel Craig.
Oh, the one that's friends with Ryan Johnson?
No, not Daniel Craig, a famous actor. He was
Ana de Armas.
Yeah, he was in
Chris Evans?
No, not Chris Evans. He was in Groundhog Day. That was like his first movie.
Bill Murray.
You know who I'm talking about, right?
No.
Michael Shannon.
Michael Shannon. Jesus
Where's
Christ.
the fucking cheese?
So Michael Shannon is apparently a very intense guy.
You don't say.
Yeah.
So
he is.
So he's an intense guy, and it apparently also similar to Jeremy Strong, sort of gets it very far into character. When he's in between scenes and stuff like that. So a lot of people, kind of keep their distance from him. But I forgot who it was who's, I think it was the girl from Rizzoli and Isles, was basically by herself and reading a book. And so he comes in and sits down just right next to her. Apparently there's chairs all in the room. He comes down and just sits down right next to her and just kind of stares off into space. And she's just like, what the fuck is going on? And he says that they sit there in silence for 20 minutes. And he finally just turns to her. He goes, can I ask you a question? And she goes, yeah, what's up? He goes, am I weird?
Oh, Jesus.
And then he realized how awkward this
go goo.
Yeah, he realized how awkward the situation was, and she was like, "Oh no, this guy's funny as shit. Like he knows he's weird," and like was just playing it up a whole lot. I'm like, you have to think that Jeremy Strong, is he just playing it up? Because
like
that article.
like campers on a rainy day.
Intense. I can't listen. Jeremy Strong might have the greatest agent on the planet and put out that Vanity Fair piece and just has everyone talking about a guy that no one was really fucking talking about. And I think that there is a possibility that he's like an Andy Kaufman-esque genius. And then I think there is an equal and probably even more probable idea that he is a classically trained like lunatic. Weirdo is the best way to describe it, and that is him. Like you get the idea from like now that you're reading all of these other interviews with the cast members of all of them being like, yeah, he doesn't hang out with us. Like he doesn't get the show that he doesn't understand we're all doing a TV show.
Well, his name isn't Jeremy Milquetoast, okay? Living up to the man's name.
I do want to say one thing I did catch up on finally after much urging from actually you guys and Ryan and Patrick, I think as well. I finally caught up on Righteous Gemstones this next season. It is I can't remember.
It's really built for me. It's like made for me, man.
It is, and it's really funny because I had a kind of not a disconnect watching the first season, but our good friend John Arthur wrote this amazing pilot called The Belt, which is how we met him in this pilot contest. And it's a really good look at actual like preachers and big church and small church and all of that kind of stuff. And so there's a part of me when Gemstones first started that wanted it to be more of a
like serious and like, actual,
not even like serious, but like somewhat based in like certain realities. And they do with certain things with Walton Goggins' character. And I think especially Adam Devine, Eli as the youth pastor is like dead on. But the rest of it is
you know those people exist, right?
Yeah, they do, but they're not. You don't have Danny McBride and you don't have Judy Gemstone, who are she is so fucking amazing in that show. And it took me a while to just turn off what I kind of wanted it to be and just lean into like, and apparently McBride
You wanted something more grounded in reality, like a hurricane hitting and them refusing to use their mega church for shelter.
Exactly, because that's I can laugh at. But Judy Gemstone as a character is so good, and she has a speech. I have not done this with a TV show in ages. I have watched her scene from last night's episode. I don't know if you guys watched last night's yet or not, but she has a short speech in it on a bus that is one of the funniest like marriages of material and delivery that I have seen in ages. Like I was dying laughing.
She's my favorite. And Goggins, probably.
Well, and apparently McBride has said that he has no end game for it, and he has no intention of stopping doing it as long as they let him keep. He's like, he goes, everything else we've done, they've tried to stretch it out, and we didn't really have a place for it to go, or we had a story and we just wanted to get to the end of it. He goes, we love doing this, what we're doing, and we'll do this as many seasons as they let us. And we'll just keep making up storylines for it.
So Yellow Jackets and Righteous Gemstones are like lost.
Yeah, well, except that Gemstones has no reason to have. They don't need to have any reveal or anything. Like it is. And listen,
you know what? And I bet you that is such a fun show for actors to be on, because it's like whether they pick it up for 5 more seasons or if they get 1 season out of it. You know, that's not something you got to chew. You got to burn a ton of calories if you're a seasoned actor and you like your company. You can bang out a season. Do other roles, you know what I mean? It's the type of show you probably hope gets picked up until the end of time and just show up and shoot scenery with those guys and collect a paycheck and do your other projects, you know?
Well, and it's funny though, because I thought the same thing like that with Vice Principals, and they were not happy that they got picked up for a second season with Vice Principals. And that was their thing. And they did a second season under protest, basically. And like did another season, but they were like weird. They wanted it to be a one-off, like 6-episode series. Versus this one, they're like, oh, we can do. There's a mine of stories and things we can do with these characters, even though it's Danny McBride in the same character and everything he does. Which
that's good.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ben.
He does pretty much the same thing.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
I still have 6 more episodes, I think, because unlike when I just say the interesting thing about Righteous Gemstones is that I watch every episode of the first season, like either the day it came out or usually the next day. But I think that the first season of Righteous Gemstones is pretty uneven. It's not.
I agree.
It's not, amazing like transcendent television. What I've seen so far this season, I absolutely 100% love more. I just haven't gotten to it yet. I think the last episode we saw is the one with Eric Andre and his wife, and they're like the mega church people from Texas.
Which that is based on an entirely true story with Pat Roberts that sold the timeshares, and it turned out to be like a complete Ponzi scheme that they couldn't afford to like actually build them. So they just oversold units and units and units to be able to build the first ones, and then defaulted on like millions and millions of dollars. It's fucking crazy. But yeah,
you're saying that these nice Christian people take advantage of people?
It's kind of crazy to think about it, but yeah, I think this season is far superior. Plus, it's got a pretty fun mystery aspect to it, which they kind of did with Vice Principals too. Like McBride is a really fascinating writer. I have to say, the thing I've started to appreciate more and more of watching him is that, and I don't dislike. I like McBride's.
He's a film school kid.
I didn't know that.
NCSA, baby, North Carolina School for the Arts.
Well, now I don't like him. I don't like
the
anyone
film
who went
school
to
that Danny McBride built.
the Danny McBride Film School.
I mean, but that's the reason why, like, because him and David Gordon Green went to film school together.
Ah, I didn't know. I just know about Jody Hill.
Oh, yeah. So that's the reason why McBride is in All the Real Girls, is because they were just friends. Him and David Gordon Green were just friends, and he was just like, okay, well, you can be in it. Like
it's I mean,
you play this character.
His writing chops of like understanding how to craft story and character, and then these just insane bits of dialogue that I really have never heard anything. The line in this episode of eating shrimp tails with ice like an animal is one of the weirdest things I've ever heard a human being speak, but it instantly put an image and a characterization in my head that made me fucking die laughing. So if you're not watching Righteous Gemstones, if you don't like Danny McBride, you're going to hate it. He is Matt Berry and Danny McBride are the same person. We have a British one and a US one.
You're not ever going to watch a Danny McBride show and like it if you don't like Danny McBride. He's not one of those actors that can get slip under the radar.
Was that Danny McBride in that? I didn't even recognize.
Yeah, no. If you don't like Danny McBride, John Goodman's not going to save it for you.
If you watch 3 episodes of Eastbound and Down and you were just like,
not my tempo.
Show for you.
I do think Gemstones probably tricked a few people in though, because it is the most rounded cast of the stuff that he has done with other people. Like you've got John Goodman, you've got these other kind of big actors in there, which is kind of I do love watching people talking about Gemstones on kind of like on Reddit and other forums, and they're just like, rank your Gemstones characters, and you realize that it's stacked almost in a Succession level of like it's like, and everyone is a character actor in it, which I think is probably I realize that that's what I'm drawn more and more to, is that like there are no leads in Gemstones, and there are no leads in Succession. It's all just like character actor and character actor and character actor, which is very satisfying to watch, especially in TV.
And now Walton Goggins is playing a ghoul in Bethesda's adaptation of Fallout.
Is that confirmed, Ghoul?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Give it up for Ghoul.
That's gonna
give it up for Ghoul.
One of my favorite concert moments ever.
Walton Goggins is Ghoul.
Oh man. I'm seeing Ghost on the 3rd and all of his ghouls.
And you said there are new ghouls, right?
I just figured that they were just trying to save makeup, because they don't even have to put anything on Walton Goggins. He already looks like a ghoul.
Those teeth.
And Ben's running excellent damage control, trying to navigate the conversation away from Ghost. But I'd like to talk about their new steampunk look, which is never mind.
This is Geek Speak. I opened up the forum for you.
No, that's a whole other episode, just like the gems of the Boba Fett. But if he's a ghoul, I think that is kind of perfect. That character is always a standout comedic relief in the Fallout games, but there is always an element of they could be your partner, they could be your backup. So if you choose a ghoul as your companion during Fallout, you see quite a bit of them. You fight alongside them, and it has to connect on more of a NPC level, but it's still not a main character. And I think Goggins like slipping into that role to elevate the rest of it. It basically now it's all about, I don't think it really matters who's the lead. They can plug and chug really, because that player was always kind of nameless and didn't really speak for the most part. And if you just get that world building right, you just get that apocalyptic, get that set design, get the wardrobe humming, and throw Goggins in some ghoul makeup, and I'm in.
I have worked to help develop 2 separate TV scripts over my lifetime. One of them was Dream Riders, and the other was a 67-page pilot episode of Fallout when I was 20 years old.
That's great. Wow. Can we get our hands on that?
I was on my old Gateway 2000, the Gadwell Lane address, so I have no idea where that.
And try to find that, and we'll do a reading with Ryan and Patrick.
That would be so much fun.
It was funny because I was gonna ask you a somewhat of a loaded question on this, but the Uncharted movie came out, and surprisingly not well. But surprising bad.
Are you saying that Sony doesn't know how to handle the keys to a wonderful franchise?
I was just gonna say, to everyone's surprise, especially Nick Santacroce, the movie is somewhat well received, other than a certain casting of a character played by Mark Wahlberg.
Are you kidding? Everyone's saying it's horrible.
I've heard that it
all
is.
I've heard is horrible.
The cinema score is quite high on it. Critics say it's fucking awful.
But the general consensus is that, surprise, Tom Holland, very charismatic, tries as best as he can to carry a movie under the weight of a not just miscast or bad. Like I read, some guy did a review that was like, they're like, I'm pretty sure Mark Wahlberg was told to show up on set in the most unflattering makeup and the most unflattering wardrobe with the lowest energy, with the least interest. Because they're like, it's not just his performance, everything about him. Like, he's poorly lit. He like looks waxy. Like, he's not made up correctly.
I've said it once and I'll say it again. Not even taking into account his horrible stomach churning past.
Yeah.
Maybe I wouldn't say this if it weren't for that, but I have no reservations. Everything he's been in, he has, he was good in Boogie Nights because he's playing an overconfident asshole who became popular because he was a sex object.
I like him in a few things, but yeah, he's not
a lateral move.
He doesn't have a lot of range.
He's not very good, and yet he really has, and for many years, maintained A-list status. And I'm not even saying he's not good enough to be in movies, because I think maybe he's just good enough to be in movies. But A-list, what did he do to deserve? Why did we thrust A-lister on Mark Wahlberg? What did he do to deserve that?
Clearly. 3 words. I heart Huckabees.
Yeah, right.
I was like, Planet of the Apes has 4 words. He
never seen a man to do a monkey's job. No, it's the other way around. Never seen a monkey to do a man's job.
Oh yeah, I
say hi to your mother for me.
Again, removing the person from the performances, I don't hate him in a lot of stuff, and there's certain things that I think he is fine in. I don't think I've ever been like left something and been like, you know what the best part of that movie was? Mark Wahlberg. Like, the best he can do is get out of the way of things and just do his job.
He doesn't elevate anyone.
And sometimes he does his job fine, and sometimes not so fine.
And the other thing about this, and taking him completely out of it, because I don't even want to talk about Mark Wahlberg, but like part of the strength
or his
of the
pansy ass burger chain.
Yeah, Wahlburgers.
We don't talk about Wahlberg. That's our new
don't
parody.
Talk about Wahlberg.
I'm gonna get Ben Wilson to record it. He can't wait.
Here we go.
He can't wait. I see him just getting so excited over there. See Ben pulling his hair out.
I'll have that ready for next episode. But the thing about Uncharted and the games, what was so great about it, especially, and I'm kind of like an Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade guy. I'm also like, Uncharted 4. They had a great thing going, and they really hit the ground running with the last installment in the franchise. But one of the great things about it was he was sort of an aging Indiana Jones, and he was kind of like nerdy and self-aware in moments where Indy never would have been, and that's kind of the engaging part of Nathan Drake. He's not pretending to be Indiana Jones. He might have an ego, but like he knows his limitations, and he's kind of getting long in the tooth, and they play that up to comedic effect. Now, if Nathan Drake is too old for this shit, Sully is really Danny Glovering it. And in the games, he's like, what is he, like 65 years old, 70 years old?
Yeah.
So like, I want to see that, but again, it's like, talk about like, is there ageism in Hollywood? Why wouldn't you want that? It would be hilarious.
You and I actually are on differing opinion about this, because
you want to take work away from aging actors.
Well, I liked the idea of them trying to do something different, which is that they were like, oh no, we're gonna go, this is young Nathan Drake and young Sully, like this is when they meet,
and then we're gonna put them in space.
This is the establishment of these characters, and then you move forward and kind of strike out in your own path for that. I'm totally fine with that. But listen, if you're gonna knock it out of the park and you're gonna get Tom Holland to be Nathan Drake, who apparently does a really good job, definitely kind of gets the character. It's clear he's played the games, he understands the character. With Sully, cast fucking Nathan Fillion as Sully. Cast him as Sully.
I've never played the game, and I was literally saying that in my head. Like,
so Nathan Fillion was supposed to, that is who Nathan Drake is. So I'm like, why don't you play homage to the game by hiring the guy that it was fucking modeled after to play the older guy?
That poor guy. The thing he's most known for is a lauded, passionately loved science fiction show named Firefly, canceled before its time. He inspires a blockbuster video game franchise and is every fan's dream casting. He's friends with James Gunn, but all he gets are cameos or rejections from the...
Nick, he is Richard Castle, star of the famous TV series Castle, which I'm saying somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but also Castle. he had a pretty good run... and the Rookie. They had another TV show.
Now he's in the Rookie.
He's in the Rookie
USA
now.
Show. One USA show and a cameo, and he begs James Gunn.
Wait, was Castle USA?
I don't know. It feels like USA.
No, that was ABC. It was ABC. That was the channel that brought you Lost.
I don't know. It's giving me real USA vibes.
It's not.
It came on after Duckman.
I never watched a single episode of Castle, but I did see the one scene where he dresses up as Mal from Firefly for Halloween, and his daughter is like, "Who are you supposed to be?" He's like, "Space pirate."
his whole career is like fan service cameos. They named a pavilion in Canada after him, the Nathan Fillion Pavilion. Because of a petition.
I would love to see
That's
Nathan
more exposure
Fillion.
that he's gotten as an actor.
I'd love Nathan Fillion to get a big payday. He's doing just fine on the small screen. He's got a very lucrative TV career, even though I did for a while confuse Castle and Bones, and I didn't know which was which. But I would watch both of them Bones, anytime. So I think he's doing. He's not in the MCU officially other than James Gunn movies, but he's doing fine. Nathan Fillion's doing just fine. But I agree, he would have been a better choice than Mark Wahlberg.
It's just, come on.
So you got Tom Holland. You already got Tom. I was about to say, you have the name. They didn't need Mark Wahlberg in that movie. They didn't need to sell tickets with Mark Wahlberg's name. Hire Nathan Fillion to play Sully.
That's just it. He's missing out on all these roles because Nathan Fillion just doesn't draw the international audience. When they get Tom Holland, like, fuck off, Nate.
Well, what is also funny with Wahlberg is I do remember like Planet of the Apes era Wahlberg when he was not A-list, when he was firmly in the B-list, because he would talk about it. He was like, yeah, I get all of them. I get every single script that Matt Damon passes on, which was like true. They'd be like, Matt Damon passes on Planet of the Apes. And like, who the fuck do we get that's cheaper than Matt Damon but not as good? And like, Mark Wahlberg. And so like his career for a long time was basically leftovers of Matt Damon's, which is kind of funny that I don't really find them to be that similar, but I suppose maybe Bostonians.
Maybe Wahlberg will be doing cryptocurrency commercials in 10 years. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe that was the one thing that Matt Damon should have passed on so that Wahlberg could do it, and he's just like, no, I need that money.
If ever there was a commercial fitting for Mark Wahlberg, it would be a crypto bro.
Matt Damon got to eat. He's got to let him have his payday. I don't begrudge anyone for getting their
okay,
money.
No, wait a minute. Wait, no, I'm going to stop you right there.
Uh-oh.
Nathan Fillion, he's doing fine. He had Castle on USA 10 years ago, but poor Matt Damon.
Stop putting Castle on USA. Castle reruns might be on USA, but those first runs were on ABC,
Castle
baby.
on TBS every week. I get it. All right.
Yeah, right.
Where's the fucking cheese?
Where's the fucking cheese?
Where's the fucking cheese?
It's like it's sort of like you take two parts Goldblum, one part. Like I can't quite put my finger on it.
Oh man!
What is the recipe for that drink?
That might be the best drop we have accidentally fallen into on here. Now he's a very well. We
got to credit that TikTok man, whoever.
Well, was that TikTok or was that on the Twitters?
No, that was a TikTok.
That was on my.
Can you please send me the link to that? I gotta play that for Beth.
I will, and I will tell you the TikToker's name here is
Matt and I very routinely get the same For You page. So
he'll send
it to me, and I already have seen it.
Okay, so apparently
legal trouble.
No, the TikTok handle is McDonald's updates, so that can't be right. I'm gonna go track down the original. I don't think the content creator we were looking for was
the Royale with cheese.
I mean, I guess it's sort of McDonald's fitting.
Where's the fucking cheese?
Where's the fucking quarter pounder with cheese?
By the way, this guy does not look like what you think he looks like, by the way. He's got kind of a mousy look about him, but I will send you that clip.
He would be a better casting for Stuart Little.
Yeah, I mean, anyone. Does anyone have any closing thoughts on this Geek? We're going to probably have to have another one of these at some point. I've still not gotten to our wokeness discussion that I wanted to have. And also, I really do want to talk about the whole Joe Rogan thing and podcasting in general and what your thoughts are on that.
What happened to Joe Rogan?
We don't talk about Rogan.
Ben just came out of his cave.
Joe who? No, I do.
What year is it?
I'm very curious because I have
in my COVID bunker.
I have some thoughts on that I think might surprise you that I have on that, but I do.
What, you and James Gunn going to poker night together now? Is that what this is?
Hey, listen, I am curious. The Rogan thing is very interesting to me. I also if I was Joe Rogan, I would take anyway, that's a whole other story. But anybody else have any final things? The whole fucking episode is a cock tease for another episode we're never going to do.
The never-ending story. It's the never-ending podcast. But that
where's the fucking cheese?
The thing is, I think the spoiler thing is got to be 3 weeks. So we're just being respectful. We'll loop back if you can imagine this being more entertaining. If you could possibly imagine that. Just put a pin in it because we're going to circle back.
Man, and it's going to be so good. It's going to be so fucking good. You guys are not going to even know what's going to hit you. It's going to make this...
By then, Ukraine will still be sovereign. COVID will be gone. Joe Rogan will have hired a science board.
And tomorrow, I am going to world-famous Lion Country Safari, so I can report back on that. And
tomorrow?
I am.
Why?
How dare you?
He wanted to see some fucking emus. Come on.
I just want to be attacked by birds again.
So my one of our sometimes listeners, Chef Helgi, is in town with his daughter, and we were gonna maybe try to go. This is gonna make it sound so terrible. We were gonna try to go to Hollywood Studios, but we couldn't get reservations, so we decided next best thing, Lion Country Safari.
Yep.
Hey.
Hey, you ever seen The Omen? You're gonna love this.
It's that meme of no, but we have Hollywood Studios at home, and then we take them to Lion Country Safari.
Yeah, right.
But yeah,
I love Lion Country Safari.
I am a big fan. I haven't been since pre-COVID times, so I'm excited to go see some animals and hang out for the day with my buddy. So
don't get out of the car, Matt. Don't get out of the car. Just play the CD.
I live in
to the
Florida.
narration.
I do whatever the fuck I want. They can tell me whatever they want.
Oh, no.
I read that FAQ. It's loose. It's not legally binding.
Stay in the car, Matt. Stay in the car.
Those lions are lazy. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to this weird episode of The New Wave. Probably not as weird as our
I thought the chemistry was on point.
Yeah, right.
I don't know why he stutters at the end of that clip, but I'll have to figure that out. Okay, that was the only one I didn't play. Anyway, thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Cheers.
Where's the fucking cheese?
Where's the fucking cheese, guys?
We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Cheers.